The 1980s was a golden age for comedies with high concepts, but by far Ghostbusters was one of the earliest, and easily the most active franchise. And with the highly anticipated third Ghostbusters sequel due to come out. As my tribute, let's discuss the lost media dealing with the original flick.
Before we begin, if this sounds like your type of cup of tea, then don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on social media for any kind of updates about these videos, and if you've got a spare bit of cash, then don't forget to support my new Patreon, where you can see videos like this nearly 2 weeks in advance, and other cool perks. Right, enough of the context, let's talk about the origins of Ghost Smashers.
The inception of the idea began with Dan Aykroyd, growing up in a house fascinated with the supernatural, with himself being a believer with the spirit realm. After leaving Saturday Night Live in 1979, he was reading through the American Society for Psychical Research. Then he harped on the idea on a horror film comedy, but with the comedy harkening back to spooky classics like the Abbott and Costello horror cycle. He wrote the script to be a launch vehicle for himself and John Belushi, similar to the other film, The Blues Brothers, with a role additionally being written for Eddie Murphy. The storyline was meant to take place far in the future, where the main trio are plumbers known as the Ghost Smashers, using wands to capture the ghosts and travelling through space and time, and other worldly dimensions. On March 5th of 1982, as Dan Aykroyd was writing out one of Belushi's lines, he found out that his pal had passed away. Despite the loss of his business friend, he pushed forward and had at least completed a 40-page treatment. The draft would end up in the hands of the eventual director, Ivan Reitman, who felt that the script was biting off more than it could chew, and that it would be insanely costly to make. So he suggested, instead of making it take place far in the future, where the Ghost Smashers job is a well-established industry, to make it instead take place in present-day New York, and have it about 3 chaps trying to launch a niche business. They brought in comedy writer Hamill Ramis to repen the story, as well as the third Ghostbusters member being played by Bill Murray. Well, he didn't necessarily confirm that he'd be in it, and there was further no confirmation that he was committed, not until on the first day of filming, which was really stressful for the whole crew, but hey, he showed up in the end. Bill Murray's role was originally meant for Eddie Murphy, but then they wrote in a new character for Eddie to play. Somebody to act as the straight man against the 3 Ghostbusters, but they were unable to negotiate a reasonable salary for Eddie Murphy. So they instead brought in TV actor Ernie Hudson to fill in that role. Another comedic actor that was nearly in the film was John Candy, and there are even storyboards that reflect that he was meant to be in the film. But as before, the deal didn't work out, so the role of Lewis was instead given to Rick Moranis. In terms of the availability of Ghost Smashers, the material that have been made available is actually from the second incarnation of Ghostbusters, Ghost Smashers, written about 1983, and the first revised version after Belushi's death. A recreated storyboard animatic of the Ghostbusters first capturing of a ghost was made available on the DVD, and if you go on the Ghostbusters fan website, Spook Central, you can read some excerpts from this version of the story, but there's currently no way to read up on the original Ghost Smashers. But Dan Aykroyd, still wanting to honour his late friend, asked the visual effects team if they could rework the design of Slimer, at the time called the Onion-Headed Ghost, to look just like John Belushi. This would be left in the hands of sculptor Steve Johnson. Well, he was only asked to do so the night before the design had to be approved, and having to resculpt at such short notice, he kind of didn't and just up and lied to them. And it worked, they said it looked just like John Belushi.
Okay, so for the 35th anniversary of Ghostbusters, featured on the 4K Blu-ray, they had unearthed this little promotional piece for a film conference shown just before Ghostbusters was released, featuring Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray. I won't show it all, but I'm going to at least show you my favourite little bit.
And it is PG. I'm fucking telling you, it's PG.
You gotta love it when film companies always find something Did you see that? I swear I saw, like, it kind of looked...
But before things could really start moving, there was only one small problem. The name Ghostbusters was already taken.
We're the Ghostbusters.
I'm Spencer. He's Tracy.
I'm Kong.
A live-action comedy series made back in 1975 already shared the name. The show was created by Filmation and under ownership of Universal. Notoriously, Columbia were unsuccessful in securing the rights of using the name Ghostbusters, but still holding out hope, they did several alternative takes. Whenever the Ghostbusters name was mentioned, they would do variations of the name.
Blasters?
Blasters.
Involving tedious situations, such as removing the Ghostbusters banner for every conceivable name. Even though there may have been a possibility that they couldn't call it Ghostbusters, the film was still shot and locked with that name. There was an infamous moment on set where 300 to 400 extras had to chant the team's name. They first chant Ghostbusters, but proved to be stubborn with the other ghost names. Now indefinitely stuck with the Ghostbusters name for that scene, Columbia pushed forward to get the rights. Thankfully, Frank Price recently acquired the job of head of Universal, where prior to this he was involved with the early development of Ghostbusters, was able to negotiate a deal with Columbia, acquiring the license for $500,000 and 1% of the royalties. In 2014, the raw footage of the Ghostbusters commercial was released on Blu-ray, which featured takes of the alternative names.
Ghostbusters. Ghost Stoppers. Ghost Blasters.
And I'm sorry, we'll do it again.
But aside from this, any other alternative takes have never been unveiled.
Just 5 more minutes, please, sir. Sorry, that's my fate back there. Anyway, let's get into the main meal, which is the deleted scenes.
The first major deleted scene comes shortly after the Ghostbusters' first encounter of a ghost. On their way to Enkman's office, Ray and Egon discussing what this possibly could mean on their success, ignoring Peter's involvement.
Whoa! I introduced you. If it weren't for me, you never would have met. And that's gotta be worth something. Hello, John.
With the janitor trying to clean up the marking on Peter's door, a gag that was seen right after the main title of the film.
You have no place in this department or in this university.
The sequence where the 3 men lose their position at the university was meant to go on a little bit longer. Ray and Egon initially get angry at Venkman, believing that he was able to secure the team's job at the university, only for Venkman to realise that he was placed within a false sense of security.
I guess my faith in the Board of Regents was misplaced.
It could have been worse, Dr. Venkman. They took the astronomer Phileas and staked his head to the town gate.
Both scenes are able to show the Ghostbusters' relationship and ranking with one another, but with prior scenes already demonstrating the same thing, with these short scenes not really revealing anything new, and being more filler, it's easy to see why they were cut out. There was originally an alternative take, where Dana asked Peter to leave her house.
I believe something happened here.
Well, what do you want to do?
What I'd like to do is spend the night here.
Get out.
Now, that is the character of Venkman, being a womanizer and playing the field. But being amongst the main characters of the film, saying stuff like that to an audience may make him come across as a bit sad and a bit creepy. There was another take where, even though Dana is still rejective to Peter's advancements, Peter comes across as more playful and it's generally an easier scene to watch.
I am madly in love with you.
Don't believe this. Will you please leave?
And then she threw me out of her life. She thought I was a creep. She thought I was a geek, and she probably wasn't the first.
You are so odd.
At Ghostbusters Fan Fest in 2019, some unused takes of the beginning of the scene were unveiled. Thankfully, for our benefit, fan group Ghostbusters News were sneakily able to grab them, bootleg style, so do not adjust the quality of your set.
They hate this. Torture. 28 apple, 4, 2 cameras, 2 cameras.
That's not all they unveiled, but more on that in a little bit. There was a scene within the Cedric Hotel where a couple wake up of a mysterious presence that seems to be in their room. The mysterious spirit was meant to be a tease for Slimer, the first ghost that the Ghostbusters catch. But when this deleted scene was originally scripted, the couple were meant to be much more occupied by each other, possibly taking place on their honeymoon.
He slimed me.
That's great!
Another Ghostbuster FanFest exclusive is a scene where Ray is fiddling around with a machine. Now, how exactly it was meant to be worked into the final cut?
We had all this crap around, and I was always looking for little transitional pieces. And I think it was probably something, I can't remember, it's 35 years ago.
A short gag deleted scene shows a copper trying to place a ticket on the Ecto-1, although a device on the rooftop idly watches the copper. Once the bill is placed down, the ticket just incinerates. Unlike the prior deleted scenes that were shown so far, this one was not included for the film's initial DVD release. Instead, it was featured on the Blu-ray for the Ghostbusters 35th anniversary, with a slew of other unseen footage that we'll get to. A little scene with Winston as he's waiting to apply for the job for being a Ghostbuster.
All I can suggest to you is that you just stay out of your house until we can get to you. Ghostbusters, sorry to make you wait.
Listen, I'm usually very psychic, and I have a terrible feeling that something awful's gonna happen to you. I'm afraid you're gonna die.
You have nice clavicles.
Some unused Miranda shots for when he's possessed by Clint's Claws foe were additionally unveiled at Ghostbusters FanFest for what would have been extra B-roll footage when Egon was on the phone.
Hong Kong and Kowloon are going to be your three big travel bargains this year.
Run! Get out of the way!
Additionally, many more scenes of Louis Towie bumping into people on the street of New York while he's still possessed.
Are you the gatekeeper?
Sure, baby, I'm the gatekeeper.
Zool!
Zool, what the hell are you doing?
As well as a deleted scene where when Louis is confronted by some thugs, he's actually got some otherworldly powers to barge them out of his way. This scene was released for the Ghostbusters 35th anniversary. The special effects are incomplete as to be expected, but it's quite clear from the print that was made available, there's some notable jump cuts.
Come on, man, you want me to stick you? Come on!
So there's still probably a lot more to be unveiled from this sequence. Another scene that hasn't been made fully available is the pulling up scene to Fort Detmering, a night gig between Winston and Ray, where they briefly get a bit of discontentment with a park ranger. The Ghostbusters parking up and entering the building have been made available, but their somewhat confrontation with the park ranger is still locked away in the Sony archive. What was for a long while the most sought-after Ghostbuster deleted scene continues forward with the Fort Detmering scene. Ray's in one of the reconstructed period rooms, where Ray helps himself to an officer's uniform. After laying down, he takes a small kip. But then a short time later, he wakes up to find the ghost that him and Winston have been searching for. The ghost keeps him occupied by undoing his buckle.
Hey, Stan! You alright in there?
Later, man!
The gag of the sequence with Ray's pleasure face was retained for the iconic Ghostbusters song montage, reworked to be a dream sequence. In 2017, some unseen Ghostbuster footage was rediscovered in Aykroyd's personal archive, and sure enough, it was the cheeky ghost scene, made fully available by the film's 35th anniversary. Before the Ghostbusters team face Gozer, Genevieve gives Egon a lucky coin.
It's my lucky coin.
I shouldn't take it. We might not be coming back.
Take it anyway. I got another one at home.
I think this scene is pretty cute, and I kinda wish it was in the final cut. Oh well, at least we can see it now. Just like this one, the rest of the deleted scenes are rather minor. A brief dialogue of Winston having second thoughts. Walter Peck tells a police officer to arrest the Ghostbusters, right at the worst possible time. Stave Pup's hat falling to the ground, right after he's defeated. And right near to the end, when Louis asks Dana if, well, they did it.
No, Louis. No.
Which, I'm gonna be honest, it was something I always kind of wondered as a wee lad. God, the scene with the honeymoon couple, the blowy and this? The original Ghostbusters was really raunchy. It's extraordinary to think that within its 30-year lifespan, Ghostbusters has only ever been a duet film series. 2 films but then such a faithful following. With the amount of expanded media, 2 cartoon series, an epic video game, and a remake, we've gained so much despite having so little from the original team. It's always pretty sweet when we've got something new and unearthed from the original 2 flicks. If these scenes would add something more, it's up to the individual. But hey, seeing them reminds us as to why we love the original so much.